Speech off.
Edition, so if I'm a little rough, I apologize. I did not.
TJ Squires.
At lunch. Maybe I wrote the whole presentation at lunch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over real quick some of the old reliables, and then I'm going to jump into some of the new things. So starting off with some of the older things, and if you were here for the national report, Tom covered a lot of these, if not all of them actually. Let's start with the publications. So the Braille Monitor, name most people have probably heard before. It's the flagship publication of the National Federation of the Blind. It has been the voice of the nation's blind since 1957, which is a really long time. So there's a lot of volumes out there with a lot of great things in there. There's published 11 of them a year. One of them is a combined convention special. And they have everything from really great recipes, banquet speeches, advocacy updates, legal news, and member stories. And you can actually submit your own articles to the editor, and you can find that on NFB's website. One of the great things about the Braille Monitor is it is available in pretty much everything but a Netflix special. So you can get it through your email, you can get it sent to you in Braille on a thumb drive, you can get it through Newsline, you can get it through a podcast, you can get it, probably somebody to come knock on your door and read it to you. If you want to subscribe, you can do it over the phone, you can do it online. There are tons and tons of ways. And I just realized I didn't start my timer, so Shane, punch me if I'm getting low on time. You do. Leslie would give it to you otherwise. So user reflections, I just want to touch on this one real quick. Future Reflections, I'm so sorry, is a quarterly magazine for parents and teachers of blind children. And you can find that as well. One of the things is you can get it for free. All of these actually you can get for free. Newsletters at the state and division level. We actually have one here, the Gem State Milestone. If you registered for convention, you had an option to sign up for that. If you're on Shane's email list, you get it. If you're on the Idaho listserv, you get it. And it is just a quick overview of what's going on in Idaho. Comes out quarterly. Also, for some of the other stuff, nationally, students and divisions may also have their own publications as well that you may reach out to and subscribe to. In fact, NABS has a podcast, which I will cover shortly. The next one I want to quickly touch on is Newsline. It's the phone-based news service that the Federation is known for decades, and it's just gotten better over time. Over 500 publications, major newspapers like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the New Yorker, including Idaho papers like the Boise Weekly is there, as well as a couple others. TV listings, job listings even, and of course the Braille Monitor. And so how do you get it? You have to subscribe. But once you are subscribed, you can access that a number of different ways. By the touch tone telephone, there's a phone number. And that works if you have a landline. If you have a smartphone, as of 2025, that includes Android. So for iPhone and Android now, there is an app. And it's the easiest experience for most people. Of course, you can get it to it on the website. And I'm going to say the name, hopefully. The Amazon Alexa, what's the weather? The smart speakers, there's an Alexa skill for it. And you can access that by saying, I have it in my note, Open National Federation. And once you give it your subscriber code and passkey, you can read Newsline hands-free. If you're not signed up yet, go to NFB and use that handy search feature and search for Newsline, and it will take you right there. So that's the old reliables. That's the stuff everybody's probably heard about at least once. And so now I want to talk about something called a podcast. And so what exactly is a podcast? I kind of want to take a little bit of time with this because it is probably the least known. A lot of people have heard the word podcast and aren't still totally sure what it is, and it is a little bit nebulous. A podcast, its root is a radio show, essentially. It's a great way to think about it. But unlike a radio show, which comes on every Thursday at 7 o'clock for 3 hours, a podcast is not broadcast. Well, some of them are. But the generic thing about a podcast, it is submitted directly online. So one of the National Federation of the Blind podcasts I will talk to, Access On, comes out Thursdays. And it just gets sent out to the feed. So the magic word for the podcasts here is subscription. When you subscribe to a podcast, some places, some apps that you use, it will be called following. It's the same thing. Once you subscribe, every new episode shows up automatically. You don't have to remember to go check. You don't have to go back to the website. It's just there in your podcast app of choice. Let's compare it to Newsline for a second. When you call into Newsline or open the application, you have to go and get the information. With a podcast, you just get it automatically. So now, I just want to touch on this. It's because it sounds a lot like YouTube videos, which YouTube has added some podcasting features, but it is not a true podcast in the podcast sense. They're mostly audio. In YouTube, you have to get the YouTube podcast directly through YouTube. With podcasts, you can use different apps. They're called podcast players, and there are a bunch of them out there. And a lot of them are accessible on iPhone and Android. There's a couple of main ones. So if you're using an iPhone and don't want to download anything, there is one. It is called Podcasts. It's built into every iPhone. You can open that up. You can subscribe to any podcast that you want. And you're set. It also works very well with Siri. So for example, you can say, hey Siri, play the latest episode of Nations Blind, and it should, in theory, start playing for you. Spotify is another big one. If you're a Spotify user, Spotify does podcasts. You can search for podcasts and follow them directly in Spotify. Same app, same login. The only trouble with Spotify is it kind of drops into your music library, so it can be a little bit disorienting. And then there's a couple of apps out there specifically built for podcasts, a couple of popular ones. One is called Pocket Casts, and it works on iPhone, Android. You can use it on the web, and they have done a really good job making it accessible. You can use it on your Sonos speakers or link the Pocket Cast skill to your Echo if you want to. And then there's another one, my personal favorite, that's called Castro, which is only for the iPhone. And what I like about it personally is the way it handles new episodes. It allows you to build a queue, and so that if you have a whole bunch of shows that you listen to, you can organize them in the way that you want and just hit play, and it will go straight through the queue. There's others like Overcast and Downcast. There are tons and tons of tons. So kind of in plain language, open whichever app, use the search to search for a show, tap the follow button, and that's it. Now when a new episode arrives on your device, it will do it automatically, and you can play it whenever you want to listen. If you need help, if this is something that you're interested in and you need some help, I'm obviously here until tomorrow. Reach out to me, find me. People have my contact info. They can reach out to me. I'm more than happy to get you help set up. So let me tell you what that we have at the NFB. How am I doing on time, Shane? Am I still good? Okay, perfect. So I do want to just take a step back and say that the NFB has a lot of podcasts, but podcasts aren't just universal to the NFB. There's a podcast for everything. That's how I get a lot of news. The NPR has podcasts. Boise State Public Radio has podcasts. There are podcasts for everything. The Federation produces a lot of different podcasts themselves. So let's go through them real quick. The first one I want to actually touch on is the Braille Monitor. If you want to get the Braille Monitor, you can search for Braille Monitor, subscribe to it in the podcast, and there it is. It's right there. The second one I want to touch on is the presidential releases. Hopefully everybody knows what those are. I know people in Treasure Valley do because Susan makes me play them. And my secret, I'm going to give you my secret of always being prepared. I subscribe to the podcast. And so it is a monthly president from President Riccobono. It used to come out on cassette tape, according to what I could find in research. And now it's podcast. I heard it's true, so I'm glad that I didn't screw that up. And so it now is a podcast. You can actually tune into it live on Zoom as well. And it covers what's going on. Legal work, programs, what's coming up in the Federation, any important news. And if you prefer it in Spanish, you can get it there that way too. And it can come straight to your podcast app. If you only want to subscribe to one podcast, in my personal opinion, this is it. It's really good for all of the information. The next one is called Nations Blind, and it is the flagship conversational podcast hosted by Anil Lewis and Melissa Riccobono. Each episode picks a theme and dives deep into, with the experts that actually know what they're talking about. They range everything from legislative advocacy, I can't speak apparently, mental health, travel, audio description, technology, mentorship, and a lot more. If you want one show that gives you the broad sweep of what the Federation is thinking about and talking about, this is it. It's great for newer members because each episode is a self-contained thing on one topic usually. So the next one and the newest one, Access On, it is my personal favorite podcast, but I like tech stuff. It is hosted weekly by Jonathan Mosen, who is our Director of Accessibility Excellency. And it's recorded out of Baltimore in the Jernigan Institute. If you care about screen readers, braille displays, AI, smart home tech, accessible apps, anything regarding accessible tech, this is your show. It features regular interviews with people that are into technology. He goes over a lot of how to use technology, and Jonathan has a way of making technology super easy to understand. It's a really great show. If you've ever felt like accessibility news is moving faster than you can keep up with, this is a good place to catch up. Walking Alone, Marching Together is launched in fall of 2025, and it's a serialized history of the National Federation of the Blind. From 1940 to 1990, it's based on the book, but the podcast version is special. It has somebody reading it to you, and it has different recordings throughout. If you're new to the Federation and want to know where we came from, there you go. Let's see. And then there's, of course, the Blind Parents Connection, which I personally have no experience, so I'm trusting what I read. It is a special series for blind parents by blind parents, and you can find it in the Nation's Blind podcast feed. And then one touching on divisions, NABS Now, is for students. It's produced by the National Association of Blind Students, by students, for students. And so if you're a student needing stuff, advocacy, campus life, all sorts of things that are relevant to you as a high school, college student. NABS Now is where you want to go. On top of that, I'm sure that I tried to keep it national, but there's a lot of state and other affiliates and divisions that probably have their own. Again, podcasts are a thing that are extremely widespread. My suggestion is to subscribe to at least the presidential release to stay in touch. Although right now, Jonathan Mosen on Access On is doing a feature on smart homes, or at least it was the last episode I listened to. And it really helps me as a homeowner because I am super invested into smart homes, but I gotta stay on topic. So the next thing I want to touch on, am I still good on time, Shane? Okay, so I'm going to go real quick. The next thing I want to touch on is NFBRN, which is the National Federation of the Blind Radios Network, and it's the easiest to use. If you take nothing else from this, take away NFBRN. You can go to NFB's website and search for NFBRN and click play. Think of it like a radio station. It just goes, anything that you play. It plays a whole bunch of different things, speeches, all of the stuff. And if something comes up live, it is played there. You never really know what you're gonna get when you tune in. You can also get to it with your smart speaker by saying Open Nations Blind, and it should start playing NFBRN for you. Or of course you can find it on the website and click play. If you have a Victor Reader Stream or other device that gets radio, internet radio stations, check under the blindness category. NFBRN is probably there too. Let's see. And then I just want to touch on real quick, the NFB has a whole bunch of social networks. You can find them on Facebook, Twitter, and then Ramona's favorite, YouTube.
And Blind Voices.
And you can also subscribe to them on Mastodon. All you have to do is in your social network of choice, look for NFB or National Federation of the Blind or Nations Blind, and you will find it there. And that, in a nutshell, is how we broadcast our message. I really hope that people try and subscribe to a podcast, go and look at some of this stuff, because there is a lot out there, and it's really good stuff. So with the last few minutes that I have, I will try to answer questions and pray that I know your answers.
TJ, I have a question, or
Except Angie's.
Could you send this in an email?
I did have, while I was going to, I skipped over a whole section, blogs. We have one. I'm going to put it on our website. I'm going to send, yes, I will make sure that there's a text form.
I didn't get all that down.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other people in the room that didn't get it all down either.
Yes, it was my intent. There is a lot, and I had to skip over some, so.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's Dawn.
Could you write this up and put it in the Gem State Milestones?
Sure.
Done.
We'll
I
put
will
it
make
on-
sure,
That's a
yep.
great idea.
We'll put it on YouTube too.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube here.
And the YouTube, see how we're broadcasting our message to the world. We're using these all. I'll just go create a podcast feed real quick and we'll be covered.
We
Any
got
other
the video.
questions? Raise your hand, stand up.
Over there
What
behind
was
you.
the one about the newly blind? The parents would,
Oh, oh my gosh, I just,
Future reflections?
yes.
future?
Reflection.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry, I just read it and I'm like,
It's quarterly.
You know they were listening, no?
I do, yeah.
There's an article by me
Yeah, Don is a contributor.
Not seeing anybody else. Door prize! Yeah.
Thank you, TJ. Big round of applause.
Thank you, Dave. And I agree, so let's do a door prize podcast.